And welcome back, everyone, to the Pokemon Team Creation Series. This one comes to us from Eric, who asked the question, what is the Pokemon team of Father from the KND, Kids Next Door? You've given me a lot of the Kids Next Door characters. I looking at the list you gave me, you haven't given me a lot of the villains, so I'm expecting some of the villains as soon as I say that, coming from you soon. But yeah, Father, who sounds a bit like Kirk Douglas in the series, if you actually listen to him. I can't do a good Kirk Douglas, at least not at this moment. Father, he's the main arch enemy of the Kids Next Door. He is. It's weird how father and grandfather, because his own father, look, because it's not actually explained exactly how they have these abilities. Now, to be fair, one of the big theories is that the Kids Next Door really is all just in the Kids Next Door's imaginations, and it's them playing as kids and going up against parental figures and all that. But let's assume for a minute that it wasn't all just, kids playing pretend in their treehouse, and it is in fact what we're seeing on there. Where the hell do some of these guys' powers come? Like Sticky Beard, for example. Where the hell does Sticky Beard, magically already exist in the Kids Next Door universe? So how does Father and his lineage work? Either way, Father is the main antagonist. He is the quote-unquote father of the delightful kids down the lane. Now, we will get to the delightful kids down the lane later in the video, but first and foremost, let's talk about Father and some of the things. One of the big things that Father has is this odd fire-based ability. We have no idea where it comes from. We have no idea why he ultimately looks this way. He just has this. And then he's also apparently his power really flares when he loses his temper. So I knew I needed fire-based Pokemon on the team. I knew I needed Pokemon that work in that sense. And so I started, one of the immediate ones that came to mind was Typhlosion. Its name literally has explosion in it, which makes sense. The guy literally has an explosive temper. So it would make sense to have it on there. Another one that I added on there was Houndoom, specifically because his fire is said to just keep burning and just never stop burning. But I added Mega Houndoom on there. Why? Well, because it was the image I had on call. You can honestly interchange it with a regular Houndoom as well. But honestly, Mega Houndoom makes sense. It's a bit more devilish. I think it just works a little bit better, just at least in terms of appearance. Last but not least, so there was a third fire type I added on the team. And now when I think of explosive temper and fire, and I'm looking through the Pokemon list, I'm like, well, there's not a lot of Pokemon here, fire Pokemon, that actually work that way. But at the same time, I'm like, let me stop here for a second. I realized this works. Because Paldea offered us an option when it came to Tauros. And the fire fighting type Tauros. This is a Pokemon that, basically because it's based on a Raging Bull, is an easy mon to be able to use in the context of someone with a fiery temper. So I liked this as the option. But we're not quite done yet, because we're only halfway through this team. So what happens? What do we do with the other three? Well, to be a little boring, and again go to an old classic, Malamar made it on the team. But Malamar actually makes it on the team for a better reason than a couple of the other ones. Other times we use it, because Malamar, like I said, is labeled not just because of the dark typing, but literally considered in lore an evil Pokemon. It's a manipulative Pokemon. It is a mind-controlling Pokemon. It will control, the mind of others. So it will manipulate. It will do what it needs to do to get the job done. And this works with the delightful kids down the lane. Now, I have two. Now, I'm going to just do the last two right now because they are both representatives of this. We have both Mousehold and Phalanx. But why? Why does it work? Why am I including all these at once when I usually kind of go one at a time here? Because these three all kind of actually tie in together when it comes to Father. The delightful kids down the lane, if you don't know your Kids Next Door lore, are basically the evil equivalent of the Kids Next Door. There's 5 of them. They're always, for some reason, grouped together. They never, separate really at all. My guess is they can. They just for some reason don't. Which is A, why I needed a mon that's technically multiple mon in one, which is why Phalanx and Mousehold, particularly the 2-kid version of it, worked in this case. But the actual identities of the delightful kids down the lane are not who they appear to be. Again, if you don't know the kids next door, delightful kids. 1 second. Delightful kids, children from that delightful children from down the lane. Sorry. They are the real identity of the delightful kids down the lane are in fact the they are the delightful kids. They 1 second. Where was their actual where are okay personal history? They were actually what was their name? Hold on. For the sector 5, children almost never forgot. Scenario number 2, trick the personnel. Okay, where was their See, they were not actually originally with father. They're not father's real children, or maybe they actually are, and he just brainwashed them down to what he to where he needed. But yeah, they were actually brainwashed, and they were actually brainwashed by father, and ultimately uh, yeah, God, I'm stuttering all over the place, and ultimately are originally operatives for the kids next door. Uh, they uh, they are actually former KND members that father basically corrupted. So apparently they celebrate. Oh, that's right, because as they are technically 5, they celebrate their birthday 5 times a year. But they are not actually evil kids. They were, at least they weren't originally. Lever kits are recommissioned by the recommissioning module, restoring them to their former selves as KND operatives. Numbers 0.1 through 5. That's what they were. They originally were numbers 0.1 through 5. However, the effects of the delightfulization were so powerful that any reversion is temporary, and the recommissioning module effects wear off due to the final battle at the moon base. That's what it was. They were actually like they weren't number 1 through 5. They were numbers 0.1 through 5. Yeah, it's makes sense that Malamar's on the team because Malamar's literally a Pokemon that will take you over your mind and try to like conquer the world. Malamar actually, and so it makes sense that he would have used these to corrupt these more innocent types of Pokemon like Mousehold and Phalanx to his side. My guess is he already had the fire types on his team prior, and then he gained a Malamar. Malamar might even been his first Pokemon that he used to like catch, for example, Paldea and Tauros because of the type advantage with the Psychic type. But and then use use him to get Houndoom. Perhaps he stole the Typhlosion at one point. Overall, and then using Malamar, he just brainwashed the other two and caught them. So that makes sense to me in terms of how I would orchestrate his team. Now, in terms of the age-old question, as I always have at the end of this video, how balanced is this team? It's actually surprisingly balanced. There's only 2 real weaknesses this team actually has that go past 2 Pokemon. Because if we're talking about every weakness for that 2 Pokemon share, there's about 6, which surprisingly out of the typing is still not a huge. It's a third of the types. But for example, 2 of the Pokemon, which would be Phalanx and Tauros, have a Psychic weakness, but they're the only ones with a Psychic weakness. Likewise, they're the only ones with the Fairy weakness, because even though Houndoom has the Dark type, actually, hold on, did I mess that up? Fairy, yeah, no, because even though Houndoom has the Fighting type, sorry, the Dark type, I apologize, Fire resists Fairy. So only Paldea and Tauros and... Wait, no, that makes no sense. Wait, what? Did I screw that up? Phalanx, Fighting, Malamar, Fairy, and fair. Oh yeah, I did screw that. Okay, so I take that back. I miswrote that. That was my bad. The fairy is one that this team does have a bigger weakness for. So there's actually 3 types that actually are big problems for this team. Fairy goes through half the team. It does go through half the team. But going back to what I was saying earlier, flying, for example, only hits the 2 Mon that have a weakness to flying, which is Paldean Tauros and Phalanx. And rock types, only 2 Mon on the team have a straight out weakness to rock types, that is Houndoom and Typhlosion. The only 3 types, as they're known, as I found out, the only 3 types are that are a problem for this team are fairy, are water, because you have 3 fire types on the team with no resistance to water, and ground. Ground is surprisingly a problem for this team, because again, you have 3 fighting types that have no resistance to ground. Sorry, fire types. So either way, that's my thoughts on what the team for Father would be. What do you think, though? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, though. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.